Speaking of Masters, I'm not playing. You're not playing. Rico's not
You're
playing.
talking to me.
Yeah.
Our team's totally done. Kyle's the only one playing. He's going to recruit 3 different people.
Nice.
But they got news. They're not going to have much of a league next year, except if a bunch of 4s and 5s show up.
Really, was it?
Because everybody's pissed off.
Oh, yeah. I've had a bunch of
Daughtry's team's not coming back. Fraser's team's not coming back. My team, your team.
Yeah.
Youngin is not coming back.
Well,
He's
no, I
going
think
to
my
play in
team-
Rock Hill.
No, I think my team's still playing. David and Chris, I think, are still going to play.
But what about you?
Oh, no, I'm done. Yeah, I don't know what Jeff's doing. TPS reports, we're here for the last time of 2024, right before Christmas. This year has flown by. I remember when we got together back in February for the first show. As always, though, I'm Justin. This right here is Brandon. And live from the Bat Cave, we have Pat Dixon. Guys, how you doing today?
Doing great. Ready to get into this incredible tournament y'all had.
Yes, it was a super fun tournament. We had the Tour Championship, the very first ever Pool Series Tour Championship. It was December 7th at Smoke and Q. We played non-ball, our normal non-ball tournament, races to 3, 2 out of 3 sets, double elimination. We only invited the top 32 points people. We've hammered it in your heads all year that you needed to be in the top 32. We had more than 10 people miss out by 20 points. So they were right there. If they would have just showed up one more time. But we had 23 to 32 show up. We still added all $2,500 for a $50 entry fee tournament, paid out a total of $4,330. Pat, I mean, just what did you think about this tournament? You know, before we even started playing, you know, like as we're sitting there watching these players show up, how excited were you to watch what was about to happen?
It was immediately different than any other tournament that we had this year because normally guys will come in and they'll be, hey, what's going, a little chummy, kind of talking to each other a little bit. Hey, mind if I shoot with you? It was not that. You could hear a pin drop in that room. All you heard was balls clacking around, falling in the pockets, and you look around and people are focusing. So immediately I knew the day was going to be great, and it didn't disappoint.
Yeah, it definitely had like a more intense feel than any other tournament. But this is also way more money than we've had added to any other 32 main field that we had. The only other tournament that was bigger was the Smoke and Q anniversary tournament back in June. So, Brandon, I mean, obviously you couldn't make it due to work, but I mean, what were you thinking going in? We kind of knew what for the first time ever, we really knew what the players list was pretty much weeks in advance. We had 32. I mean, what did you just think? What were you expecting?
Well, I'll tell you what I wasn't expecting. I'll start with that. I wasn't expecting our good buddy, our teammate, Pat Dixon, to do what he did in this tourney. We'll get into that later in the show. However, I was expecting some serious shooting for some good money by great players. That's exactly what we got at the top. Pretty much exactly what I expected, with the exception of one player in the top 4 that I'm a little surprised about, not totally surprised about, but overall, just great day of pool. Couldn't beat it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a pool series event without at least like one surprise in the top 8, which we did still pay out the top 8, which I think is amazing. These people deserved it. They've supported the pool series all year. They all deserve to walk away with a little bit of money. Let me go ahead and read off the sponsors here really quick, because obviously this tournament definitely would not have happened without these wonderful people. Deadstroke Media, Pat Dixon, thank you, buddy. Definitely done a lot of hard work this year. Inkwell Design, JC Riggs, made some beautiful trophies all year. This one actually was one of my favorite ones. I love the color that was in it. I love the style of it. We also had Furniture Outlet and Consignment. They've been with us for most of the year. Thank you so much. Paul Harrison Custom Cues has been with us from day number 1 of the pool series. Thank you so much, Paul. Alpha Apparel has jumped in lately. We appreciate them. They do some great work. Portico Licensed General Contractors. Corey, huge supporter of pool in general. Pool Doctors, obviously got to thank Josh Mullenix, huge supporter as well. He's been with us all year as well. And even going back to last year, right? He was with us last year as well.
Absolutely.
Hill Home Inspections, a new one. Shout out to my buddy Josh if you need your home inspected. Red's Debris Removal and Hauling, obviously Red, big time supporter. He watches the stream a lot. And the Roundabout Grill, definitely go get some good food while you're up there. Let's go ahead and get in the top 8 now. The top 8 finishers. Let's go ahead and get, because this is a pretty stacked top 8, but there's definitely some surprises. It could have been even more stacked, but right off the bat, we had a split for the finals. They decided to split, but the hot seat winner, BJ Ussery, who split with Hunter White. So there you go. Jeff Pate finishing third. Fourth was Ronald Bott, the Bot Man. Fifth, sixth, Kyle Sherrill and David Anderson. Seventh, eighth, Jason Blackwell and Christopher Brower. What an awesome top 8. And I'll just start off with you, Brandon, because you've already referenced one of the players. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Obviously we know what you want to talk about. So
Yes.
the floor is yours.
I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy because I love the quick backstory about this. The man has played with the same $115 players queue since I've met him about 18 to 19 years ago. So we're talking about a long time. The same queue. I guarantee you, out of everybody we talk to and hang out with, nobody keeps a queue past 2 years. This guy kept the same basic piece of firewood for 18 years, decides to go out and get a Q-Tech carbon, finishes 6th in the tournament.
And that man is Kyle Sherrill.
That is Kyle Sherrill, everybody.
And
I am so stoked for my buddy Pat. He's our teammate. We love the guy. He's, played in some pool series events and he's won some matches, but never a run like this. And he beat some great players on the way there.
yeah, it was his first cash, and he snuck into this tournament as well, finishing 32nd in the points. He was literally the last player in the field. So this is, on paper, a huge surprise. I think his ability to play, maybe not as big of a surprise, but just finishing 32nd, never cashing before. But, I mean, Pat, go ahead and give us your thoughts. I mean, like you said, you play on a team with Kyle as well, so you know him pretty well.
It's like this is the greatest commercial that Q-Tech could ever have for an SVBQ. Just put these results up there.
Yes.
After 2 decades of playing with this old house stick that this guy's been playing with. Truly, Kyle's a beast. This is like a very truly he is. This is a very sneaky version of what we saw Craig Titlebaum do. To Brandon's point, he beat some dogs to get there. But it was the sneakiest thing. Is like you just look down at like the third or fourth round. I was like, wait, Kyle's still here? What's going on? Who's he beating now?
And it all started with the first round when he beat Clayton Davis. And then, like you said, that, like, I mean, it was probably 7 o'clock maybe or so, 8 o'clock that day. And I'm looking at Kyle, I'm like thinking to myself, oh, cool. It's awesome that he's going to stick around and watch a bunch of these matches. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. He's actually still in the tournament.
I'm sure you're exactly right. The same way you just described.
Oh, he was, out of every player that, because obviously, at the end of the tournament, when they start losing, I got to give them their money for when they get it. He was probably more excited than any player I've paid all year. Getting 5th, 6th, they got $155. And I think he was more excited than any player all year. Out of however many players I've cashed this year, he was by far the most excited. So definitely a huge shout out for Kyle. And, he's been trying to play in more. He hasn't played in that many, but he's definitely been trying to play in more. And maybe he will come back and play in a lot more now that he finally cashed in one. Pat, is there another player out of the top 8 that maybe you want to speak on?
In the top 8? Honestly, no, not really. Kyle's the big thing that's happened in this tournament, jumping up there. I will say shout out to David Anderson because I haven't seen that guy forever, and he still comes back after like 6-month hiatus and still cashes in 5th, 6th place. That's super strong.
Yeah, he literally, he finished tied for 13th in the points, and I think he only played like 3 events all year.
Yeah,
like he definitely came back after being gone for a very long time, and then we can go ahead and go through. I'll go ahead and go through how the other players finished in the points outside of the tournament. BJ, finished 11th in the points, which obviously he only played in 2, so that's why. Hunter finished 5th. He played in over half the events. Jeff Pate also barely snuck into the tournament, finishing tied for 30th. Renal getting 2nd place, had an outside chance at first, didn't show up to the last tournament. We already did Kyle and David. Jason Blackwell finished 10th, and Chris Brower tied for 18th. So really, if you look at the top 8 on paper, just by that, almost half of them are kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Brower tied for 18th. That's back-to-back cashes though for him in the pool series. I mean, what did he get? Third place at Blue Rocks, Pat?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Third, fourth, something like that.
Yeah, fourth. Yeah, fourth. So, I mean, Chris is, on his way up. David finished in tied for 13th in the points. Obviously, probably should be higher. Jeff Pate tied for 30th should also be probably
Way higher.
a lot higher. But I mean, shout out to Jeff Pate also because I mean, that's the first time was it the first time all year that we've seen him top 3?
Yeah, because it was the first year that Jeff was out there that he was like probably one of the top players on the tour.
Yeah. Yeah,
So yeah,
last year he had a very good year. This year, though, I feel like he just hasn't played enough. And Hunter White obviously has been a big supporter all year. I don't think none of us were surprised, I think, by this final 2. Like, Brandon, were you surprised that this was the final 2? I mean, on paper, these were if you look at their Fargo scores, these were the top 2 players in the tournament.
Oh, sure. No, there's really no surprise down on number 1 and number 2 for sure. It went as expected. It was a great finals, or excuse me, a great hot seat match.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, though, the exact, person that every single body would have put their money on got first. So, I mean, but it's still awesome to watch. Love every minute of it. Can't wait to see more of it this coming up year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be even more fun to see how it plays out this year. I mean, BJ, like I said, he played in 2 points matches all year. He got third in one of them, and then the other one he split first as well. So he never actually played a finals in any of the points events. But it was nice of him to, get qualified as being probably the best player Fargo wise to play in any of our events all year. And then
he's the
you
best
look at
player.
something like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, best player, is that what you said?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, not just Fargo wise, he's the best player.
I mean, that
Second highest Fargo to play.
is he the second highest Fargo?
Josh Roberts.
Josh Roberts? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if BJ is the best player that has played because, yeah, Josh Roberts,
That.
Guama,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's been some other good players as well.
Okay, outside of the points events, okay, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
with
Now,
you.
points events wise, yes, definitely the best player of the points events. Although with the year that Mike Davis had, he would probably maybe argue with that as well. But yeah, I think this was a very fun top 8. It was fun that even in a stacked field like this, we still had 2 or 3 surprises. And it just goes to show you that this format, with the shorter races, that in the shorter field, that nobody's ever really guaranteed a spot in the money. Like everybody has a chance to get there.
Yeah.
Whether it's Kyle Sherrill or Chris Brower back-to-back tournaments or Jeff Pate, not making it very far all year. But y'all want to talk about your Masters teammate getting 5th, 6th? I'd like, let me just, a little shout out to 2 of my Masters players, Cash.
Yeah.
All 3 of my Masters players, Cash. Jeff Pate 3rd, David 5th, and Chris Brower 7th. I feel like it shows that our team is better. I feel like
Than our team?
yes.
No, they're not. Stop it.
Well, your team had
Not
Not even
personality
close.
wise.
oh no personality.
Not
wise,
personality
yeah.
wise.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
we're
lame. Yeah.
national champs, baby.
Mhm. I mean, my team is all married with kids. Like they can't have time to come out and do anything.
Rico's the only single guy on our team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm the only single guy on my team. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah. And me and Rico use that to our full advantage. Let me tell you.
Do.
Because we have yet to be talked about on the show yet. So we do very well with our lives. Let's move in though. Let's move into the non-people that didn't show up. And let's talk about what this tournament maybe could have been like with those 9 people.
Like that.
Because normally we take this moment to talk about people that we expected to be in the cash. And I feel like we expect maybe some of these non-people to be in the cash. So I will go through them and I'll tell you their points finish also, just to throw that out there, Obviously, the big one, Mike Davis finishing first, didn't show up. Went to another tournament, swept the whole weekend. Congratulations to Mike. Chris Clark also didn't come, who was tied for 13th. Clint Clark, who finished 15th, didn't show up as well. Todd Milam tied for 18th. Brian Francis tied for 20th. Larry Hughes tied for 23rd. Brandon 26th. Dan Mooney tied for 27th, and Ricky Carcamo tied for 30th. Brandon, we'll just start with you, man. I mean, how do you think this tournament might have gone differently if those 9 people show up and we get a full field?
Well, if one of them shows up out of that 9 for sure, it's the trophy, and there wouldn't be photos of Hunter White with it in his bed. Yeah, one more.
Did he post that one on Facebook?
I don't think so, but it's been too long. We have to talk.
It's not
about
safe
it.
for work, so it's probably good. It's not on Facebook.
It's on Facebook.
It is on Facebook. Okay,
it's on Facebook.
Good.
Great photo. Yeah.
To answer your question, I mean, like I said, I'm going to pick on my buddy. I'm not going to pick on my buddy. I mean, this is a type of tournament that was proven in a few of the players up at the top, and even right outside of the money, I might add, that anything could have happened.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, there's also another player on there that, didn't get near the cash that I would pick the cash every single time. So, I mean,
go ahead and tell us who that is.
Clay Davis.
Clay,
I'm usually going to pick Clay to be in the money every tournament he plays in.
Yeah, he was.
And that's not a slight at him. It's just, it was unexpected to see what Kyle did. But like I said, hats off to Kyle.
Yeah, there's actually 3 players that went 2 and out in this tournament that I would have expected to possibly be in the money. That's Clay Davis, who lost to Kyle Sherrill and Kevin Candido. And then you had Eddie Little, just coming off of surgery. So maybe he gets kind of a small pass. But he lost to Brian Crizel and then our very own Rico, who we've already talked about. And then Hank Powell also went 2 and out, losing to BJ and David Anderson and what was definitely the worst possible draw. That's a Pat Dixon kind of draw right there, honestly. But Pat, I mean, do you want to talk about any of the players that didn't show up or maybe some of them that didn't cash?
No, man, I hate everybody. See you in 2025.
I'm talking about.
No, I'm just kidding. Could you imagine? I mean, honestly, we're talking about the top 32 at the end of the year. Yeah. So it's hard and easy at the same time to say, oh, if this person would have been here from the top 32, they could have been. That entire list could have made the money. You can interchange any one of those names from like 5th, 6th, all the way through somebody through 9th through 12th and say, okay, that makes sense. I do agree with you on those 3 names, though. I was surprised about Hank, Eddie, and Clay. Clay's been struggling. It feels like he's been struggling a lot lately. We're used to seeing him in the top 3. Top 5 is like, okay, do better next time, Clay. But at one point, we were having a conversation where he was, probably one of the best, if not the best pool player in Charlotte. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's this that he's going through a slump or whatever it might be, but I'm hoping to see him be Chacho on the pool table, But yeah, man, outside of that, this is what the top 32 is supposed to look like. I think at the end of the year, some surprises, but quality of the field wise, this is probably the best quality field that we've had all year, and it's supposed to be that way. It's the championship.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say there is one player on that list of names that you mentioned that I almost would have bet everything I had that he would have been top 4, and that's Clint Clark, one of the toughest tournament players I know. And I will throw out there if he would have been in it, there would have been some different results. But
yeah, I think if you look at those 9 players that didn't show, 6 of the 9 have finished in the cash at some point this year. So they obviously have what it takes to get there. And then I'm pretty sure the other 3 have all been one outside the money at least once as well. Because Brandon, you've been one outside the money, right?
Numerous times.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. So 6 of those 9, I think, Mike Davis, you could be talking about possibly winning. Clint Clark talked about possibly winning. And then, for sure, Larry Hughes probably in the money. Brian Francis, Todd Milam, Chris Clark, all those guys you very easily could have seen in the money. I mean, Chris finished in the money 2 of his last 3 events that he played in. So this was definitely a tough field, and it could have been even tougher. And obviously, hey, maybe it motivates a lot of people next year to get into the top 32 because it was such a great payday. I mean, these 8 players split over $4,300. That's pretty impressive.
Pretty good payday.
Yes.
2 things I wanted to say. I think that if Mike Davis shows up, then it's Mike and BJ in the finals. Whether they do or don't split, if they didn't split, they played it out. I think BJ would have won.
Yeah.
I think BJ would have beat him. But I don't see that. I see that being because what do they have to do? Like a race to 4, best of 3 sets?
Yeah.
Right? So I think BJ wins and they end up going to a 3rd set in order to do it. I think Hunter would end up getting 3rd place. And then I would probably put Clint Clark at 4th if he would have showed up. I probably would have put him right there. The second thing I was going to say is Next year, because we're going to be doing what, top 64?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it'll be top 64 next year. Yeah,
Top 64 this year, and we're expanding out into the Carolinas. I advise all of you who just barely missed it, show up to the events. Show up to the events, man. That way you don't miss out 2 years in a row because somebody up there in Raleigh might be taking one of your spots. Okay. Show up. 2025 is going to be big. Back to you, Justin.
absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how many of these 32 people make it again next year. Pat, let's move on to how you and I did in the tournament, man. Let's very brief little segment here. This segment won't last very long. But obviously, me, Justin Clark, finished 7th in the points, by the way, finished 13th in this tournament with a tournament resume of a 2-0 loss to Jason Blackwell, a 2-0 win against William Wood, who I play every tournament, and then a 2-0 loss to David Anderson. Pat, you were there, so we'll start with your thoughts. I mean, did you see any of those matches? Obviously, I wasn't on the stream because I'm not good enough, but did you happen to look over any of those matches? Did any of those results surprise you? Tell me your thoughts.
Well, it's always a surprise if you don't get a set on anybody. I really don't care who it is. I always say that anytime you have O2 results not in your favor, and I stand on that mountain. Outside of that, no, not really. Jason Blackwell has been playing so well the back half of 2024. So him beating you isn't necessarily the surpriser. I don't think. I think he's actually the favorite now. But again, you get a set on anybody. Um, and then David Anderson, historically, you've always had issues playing your friends. And David being David, that doesn't shock me. But again, either one of those two guys, I expect you to take it to a third set. If not beat one of them, because you're more than capable of doing that. Shout out to Woody. Shout out to Woody, dog.
Absolutely. Always love to see Woody there. Brayden, what do you think about Justin's tournament run?
I agree with most of what Pat said. I still think you and Blackwell are closer in a coin flip than people realize. I maintain that. I do think you're supposed to lose to Dave Anderson, but to Pat's point, I also feel like you're supposed to go 3 sets. Like Dave Anderson might be better than you, but not a lot. So your tournament did kind of go as expected, but it could also go very differently the next time too. I believe that.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun day. Jason, our match, I believe both sets were Hill, I believe.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think both sets were Hill. It was a good match. Woody, actually, the first set against Woody was Hill also. That was actually the best I've seen him play. So it was great to see him, continue to improve. I love it. Hopefully he continues to do it next year. And then David Anderson, both sets also went Hill. So, think one roll here or there, I could have easily have won both those matches 2-0, 2-0 instead. So, but the David match, that was fun because I feel like that was the first time in a long time that we played where we both played really well because I think we only played each other one other time in the pool series event, and that was at Irish Q 8 ball. And I don't think either one of us played too well. You can watch that match on the stream. You can go back on our YouTube page, the pool series, and check it out. But this match, we actually both played really well. So that was fun. I was excited for that. And yeah, I mean, both guys I lost to finished in the money. So you definitely can't be mad about that. Let's move on to Pat. Your tournament finished 17th. You finished tied for 20th in the points, by the way. So good job, top 20 finish on the first year. Yeah, you also lost. You also lost 2-0 to Jason Blackwell. Dang that guy for beating both of us. And then you lost 2-0 to Chris Brower. So obviously you lost to both guys that cashed as well. They were both playing really well. Again, another tough draw for you, man. I mean, I know you kind of disagree, maybe with what I've said over and over again about where you kind of want an easier match in the first round. But I mean, yeah, that's just a tough draw. I mean, to play two guys that finish in the money in your two matches is pretty tough, especially the way they're playing. Chris was playing really well all day, I thought. But Brayden, what do you think about Pat's tournament?
I think that Pat's tournament, you definitely drew two horses. I think that, you drew two guys that both play very strong when they want to. They're both going to be favored against you. But Pat's game from February to December is so different now because of these matches.
Oh, yeah.
He goes and plays the common APA folk, and it's not even close anymore. I love that. So he is proof. This guy I'm pointing at right here is proof that these tournaments will elevate your game. Look at that thumbs up. It doesn't even look real. It
That's
looks
perfect. Yeah, that was
painted.
photoshopped. Yeah, no, it's
But
been a
yeah,
fun
but
year. Yeah,
in
good
a
luck.
nutshell, I mean, like I said, those are two tough opponents. No shame in that.
Yeah, I mean, Pat. Well, talk to us, man.
Well, first things first, Jason Blackwell and I had the longest match of the tournament at 15 days,
Oh
6
yeah, no,
hours and
yeah,
25 minutes.
no.
So that's great.
The score was weird for some reason, so I just fixed it earlier today.
Gotcha. It should also be that I lost to him 2-1.
Oh,
So when I
2-1?
played
Okay.
Jason Blackwell, yeah, I beat him the first set. I think I won the first set 3-0 or 3-1, something like
Okay.
that. And then he ended up winning 2 more sets in a row. So he won the
All right.
second, and then we went to the hill. He won the third set. I'm pretty sure that's how that went.
Yeah, I'll fix that. Yeah,
Um,
it had the score as like that y'all tied somehow, and I was
oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
no,
so
no,
I went back and fixed it and just put 2-0 because I didn't actually couldn't remember what it was. But
yeah. But that match against him though, I was playing. I started off very strong, which is something that I've been trying to work on because I feel like I always come out to these tournaments and I start slow and I try to find some rhythm, but I can never get there. To your point, Jess, I'm always usually getting a pretty tough draw, but at my skill level, every draw is a tough draw.
I mean, yeah,
So, and it is what it is. But I played really well against him. We got to the second set. I missed a 9 ball to go up 1-0. And he just basically took it from there. I think in the second set, he beat me like 3-1. And in the final set, he might have beat me 3-1 again, if I'm not mistaken. But I was happy with the way I played for the most part. And then I got to Chris, and it was like the antithesis. He was just starting to play, like getting into that gear and playing really, really well. And then I was struggling against him. He was playing some good defenses and making a lot of good shots. So then after that, when I went outside and I smashed my tripod because it felt good, I came in and commentated the rest of the night. But all in all, uh, had fun. Happy with the way I played for the most part. I was really happy with the way that I played against Jason. So something to look forward to in 2025, man. Make it into the money. Can't wait.
yeah. I was gonna say, I think one of those matches you live streamed on Facebook. I don't know if it's still there. Is it still there?
It should be. And I think I live streamed both of them.
Oh, you did both of them? Okay, cool. Yeah, I knew you did one. The
Mm-hmm.
other one I was kind of busy and didn't get to see any of it. So, yeah, definitely. I think in 2025, I expect you to cash. I expect Brandon to cash. Hopefully, there's a day where all three of us cash and there's just nobody commentating on the stream and we're just like, oh, sorry. But yeah, I think it'll be a fun year. I mean, it's definitely improvement. I mean, it went from I think there was a time earlier this year where Pat, you hadn't won a match, so it's definitely an
Mm-hmm.
improvement.
Yeah. We're on the
Yeah.
way, baby. We're on the
Yeah,
way.
exactly. Exactly. It's just all about improvements. It's small improvements, like just remember, today I peed outside my pants. So small improvements, man.
Sure.
I mean, it's the small things in life. Let's get in.
Unintended.
Yes, pun intended. Yes. Let's get into the best matchups of the day, and obviously the best matchups are on the stream, which you can go to the Pool Series YouTube page. They're all up on there, all 11 matches from the Tour Championship. I'm gonna go ahead and read through all of them, and then Brandon, you can start us off by talking about whichever one sticks out to you. First round, BJ Ussery with a 2-0 win over Hank Powell. Second round, Jeff Abernathy 2-0 over Rico Gonzalez. On the loser side, Rico with a 2-1 win against Eddie Little. Third round, BJ with a 2-0 win over Jason Blackwell. Hunter 2-1 over Liam Wynn. Ronald 2-0 over Abernathy. Final four winners side, BJ 2-0 over Jeff Pate. Hunter White 2-1 over Ronald. The fifth, sixth place match, Ronald 2-1 over David Anderson. Hot seat match, BJ 2-1 over Hunter White. In the third place match, Hunter White 2-0 over Jeff Pate. Like I said, I'll start with you, Brandon. Which one sticks out to you? Which one do you want to talk about?
The Hunter and Renault, the
Yeah.
Hill. That was just, I think I did that. I did it with you or Rico. I'm trying to remember. But that was just break and run central. I mean, one mistake from either player cost you 2 games at least 2 or 3 different times in the match. I mean, they went all the way down to
Yeah.
the end. Hill final game.
I think all three sets went Hill,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So all 3 sets went Hill because one mistake will cost you 2 games, and it was just great pool, Hunter just as tough as nails like he always is. Same thing with Renal. It just came down to the very last game. I think Renal missed a 6 and Hunter finished it. I mean, it was just, that to me, that was the most nail biting part of the game because you didn't realize you didn't know who was going to win until Hunter was on the 8 ball in the last game. Once you saw him on the 8 and he was dead, you knew he had it. But that to me, that was the match that stuck out.
Yeah, and I agree. That was probably the best played match where both players played really great. And that's also probably the most even matchup, I feel like, out of all the ones on the stream. I think Renal and Hunter is about as close as you can get, really. And it's funny with Renal because early in the year, he was just kind of steamrolling people to the finals every time. And now, probably for about the last quarter of the year, every time he gets close now, he'll just miss like one ball that keeps him from probably winning the tournament. And like you said, Brandon, it was, I think, the 6 ball
Yeah.
Hill third set. So Bernal just needs to somehow get back over that little hump there, and he'll be back in the finals probably every time like he was earlier in the year. But I mean, Pat, what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think Ronaldo needs tougher competition to continuously show up, so you can see him get to that next level.
Yeah.
So hopefully this championship is kind of the catalyst of that, especially when we start expanding out into other places like Statesville and Raleigh and the Cary area. We start getting, casting a larger net for bigger fish, so to speak. Hopefully Ronaldo will come out to some of those. Some of those guys will come out to some of ours locally here. Um, and we can kind of see that iron sharpens iron shtick, so to speak. But for me, I think the best match was probably the hot seat match between Hunter and BJ. And the reason why is because, well, one, I didn't know beforehand that they had this standing agreement that if they ever met each other in the finals, that they'll always split. So you might as well say that the hot seat match was the championship match. Like if you wanted to see what it looked like for those two guys that play in the championship, it was going to be the hot seat match. Um, so I mean, that really the only that you could have predicted, I think, the top three. I think you could have taken Renal, you could have taken Hunter, you could have taken BJ and said somewhere these guys are going to be in the top three. It's kind of a toss up. BJ's the heavy favorite for the most part, right?
It was
Um,
close. I mean, Jeff
and
Payne
so
snuck in there though.
Jeff snuck in there. Exactly. But that's so,
Mhm.
Runal being one place out of that, for me, it was always okay, when BJ and Hunter inevitably meet up, what's going to happen? Because whoever gets sent to the B side, they're just going to fight all the way through to the championship anyway. And if these guys split, if we don't have the knowledge before then, I want to see what happens when they actually play. So for me, it was the hot seat match. That was basically my finals. And I don't think it disappointed. I think the fact that it did go to a third set is telling just how talented Hunter is on a pool table. So hot seat.
I I'm gonna say my favorite match wasn't just one match in general, but it was basically all three of BJ's matches leading up to the hot seat because all three of them he won two sets of 0. And I believe in all three of them he had at least one set where he won 3-0. Two of them he won 3-0, 3-0. I think this is kind of the BJ that we've been waiting to see all year. The two other times they played in the points events, it wasn't ideal. I mean, he got third place in one and struggled really to even get to third place.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other time he didn't really play all that great, but walked away with the split. So to me, just watching him play in this tournament and seeing like, okay, this is what a great player does when it comes time to win. And me and Brandon are always referencing like college basketball, but this very much kind of reminded you of like what UConn does in the NCAA tournament, where it's like, oh yeah, we might have lost like 3 games in a row in January, but now it's in March and we're going to win every game by 35. It's basically what BJ was doing. He was basically like, you know what? There's a lot of money in this tournament. This is basically a championship, and people are expecting me to win. So I'm going to play lights out. So those were kind of, like I said, it's not one match that was my favorite, but just to watch, because none of them were like, none of them were tense. I mean, he won, his first 3 rounds, his first 4 rounds, none of them lasted more than 40 minutes. One lasted 45 minutes, but I think that was just because they sat there and talked before the match. They actually started playing. So, I mean, he won two of them. He won two of them in less than 30 minutes. He lost one set the whole day, and that was to Hunter in the hot seat match. Yeah, so that to me was my favorite match. And I know it's not just one match.
And that honestly shouldn't have happened either.
Yeah, agreed.
It shouldn't have gone to the third set.
No, agreed. And then, yeah, I mean, it probably shouldn't have. But there was other, like, I think, I mean, Ronald and David Anderson was a good match just because we got to see David miss a ball that we never thought he would miss to win the match. I mean, ever.
Yeah.
You know, he missed the non-ball to win the match. Like, I think that's noteworthy to watch right there because, you know, they call him the machine for a reason. The machines don't break down. But apparently this one had a little bit of a glitch and, you know, he needs to throw some WD-40 on before he plays in one of our events next year. So I think I mean, Pat, I mean, you were there for most of BJ's matches. I mean, what do you think? Was this the best, like, probably, you know, all day performance that we have seen from a single player all year?
I think so. There was one point that BJ was visibly having fun.
Yeah.
Never seen that before. It was it's like, oh, he's comfortable. He's fine. He's having a good time. Everybody's in trouble. Have fun with that problem because I'm out of this. But it was the match against him and Jeff Pate. You know,
Yeah.
he was playing some great defenses. He was getting some rolls. He was shooting lights out. Like all the momentum was all BJ, and Jeff was having fun with it. You know, and BJ was having fun with it right back. So when I saw that, there was no doubt in my mind. Nobody was beating BJ that day. So to your point, yeah, I think for sure the strongest that we've seen him play easily all year.
Yeah, and that match was very weird too because Pate's very first shot of the game, I think, was ball in hand and he missed. So not only at this point is BJ playing good, but he's in people's head because, you know, I've seen Pate a great play for 15 years now, and I don't think I'd ever seen him miss a shot like that. So when BJ starts playing well, then he starts getting in people's heads, and it makes it even tougher. But yeah, BJ, I could tell after he beat Jeff, he was like, probably in his mind, he's probably thinking, I'm winning this tournament because I only got to win one more match in the hot seat to, you know, guarantee myself a top 2 finish. And he's probably looking at both those guys, you know, Hunter and Renal, and the way BJ was playing, you know, there was no, oh, I'm gonna go over here and take this serious. He sat there and joked around with us for a minute after he beat Jeff, and I was like, okay, BJ's locked in. This is definitely something. And I hope he brings that next year. I hope he plays in a lot of our events, and I hope he brings that same attitude because, you know, it'll be fun to see if anybody can come close really to stopping him. I mean, he could just be a freight train if he plays like that and win every event.
He has that kind of game, honestly. If he really bears down, he plays I call it his expo game, the one where he took down Shaw and Mora and other great players. When he plays his expo game around this area, forget it. He's first.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just nothing you can do about it.
Also,
if it were winter break, I'd feel different, but it's not. It's alternate.
Right.
So give me BJ Usry all day.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Winter break changes everything, but alternate
Yes.
break. One more match I want to mention really quick is just Rico beating Eddie Little 2-1. That's 2 straight wins for Rico over Eddie Little in the pool series. Rico, he's kind of turning into like a legend killer because, you know, earlier in the year he beats Jeff Abernathy like 2 or 3 times.
Mhm.
Now he's beating the legend himself, Eddie Little, 2 times in a row. At some point, do we need to start saying that Rico has a chance to beat any of these guys that he's playing?
Unless he's playing Jacob Blake.
Mr. 9 through 12th himself. Finished 13th in this tournament, though. So
Rico I've known Rico, gosh, I'd say a solid 7, 8 years. No, longer than that. Probably 10 plus years I've known him. And I have never seen a guy with a resume like his on top talent that he's beaten.
Yeah.
And beaten well. I mean,
throw in the machine David Anderson on that list.
Twice.
Well. Yeah.
That was the one that made me just say, okay, when he really feels like it, he can get down and he can play.
Yeah.
He's a good tournament player. He's a comfortable tournament player. So happy for Rico there. I'm still going to favor Eddie every time. No disrespect, but I'm ecstatic for Rico on a win like that.
I'm not sure if I'm going to favor any of these guys against Rico. I think I'm calling him the legend killer for a reason. I think he's going to be favored if he's playing, you know, a superstar, a Hall of Famer. I think that's just who Rico is now. I think it's going to be like, you know, this guy might win this. Like, I think it's going to be fun to watch. I hope he does it next year. I want to see him pull off all the upsets next year. Maybe he's the one to take BJ down when he's at the top of
You
his
know
game.
what? If I could get odds on that, I'd buy a
Yeah,
lottery ticket.
maybe Rico's the one. What, Pat?
I was gonna say Rico's one of those ones too. It's like, some guys are like they got a really great base game. So their high gear is not like dramatically different than what they always play at. Like there's a difference, but it's not dramatic. Rico's one of those ones where there's a dramatic difference. If he's in his high gear, he's beating David Anderson, he's beating Eddie Little. You like, hey, I'll buy him against BJ Usry because he's playing pretty well today. Who knows what might happen? You know? Love,
And
love, love the guy's game, hate playing him.
it's funny too because talking to him, all I've heard from him for the last like 2 or 3 weeks is, man, I haven't won an APA match in months, and I'm like, dude, you're winning 2 or 3 matches almost in every one of the pool series events. Like, like maybe you just don't care enough about your APA matches. Maybe that's what the problem is. Maybe it's, you're there on a Thursday and you're like, man, I'd much rather be at home right now watching the Jersey Shore or whatever. I don't know what he watches, but I'm gonna say Jersey Shore Family Reunion. I'm gonna say that's what he watches. I don't know.
I gotta text him and ask him that now.
Please, please do. Please do. Maybe we'll have him on one of our episodes next year. Maybe we can add a fourth here. We got room, I think. I think there's other stuff we can do. Yeah. But guys, I think that's all we can talk about this tournament, man. I think, do we have anything else that we want to say about the 2024 year now that it's officially complete? 15 pool series events. They went from February to December. Brandon, I'll let you go first. Just, is there anything that you want to say?
We all three need to bring up a memorable moment from this year, one that you will not forget for the rest of the year. And for me, it was Todd Milam beating Jeff Pate 3-0, 3-0 in about 11 and a half minutes. That was the one.
Was that 10 ball?
Yes.
That was 10 ball, yeah.
Yes. Which was mind blowing because as soon as they flipped the coin, it felt like Jeff had his cues and going out the door. I'm like, that for me, that was the moment. The Todd Milam just murdering of Jeff Pate.
That's yeah, I mean, Todd, that was one of his 2 cashes that he had this year. So, and that was kind of like the downfall of Jeff when he kind of went into a slump until the finals. So, Todd, maybe you put Jeff into a depression there. But Pat, obviously Brandon's putting us on the spot here. So, Pat, what's your memorable moment?
Todd Milam having the nickname the Great Depression would be dope. We should make a t-shirt out of that. Actually, that's for his card. He's now called the Great Depression. My moment, Craig Titlebaum. Craig Titlebaum's November. The bomb went off. Yeah, dude. Wow. No moment for me will top what that man did that day.
Was it specifically when he made the non-ball to beat Javier on the stream where it was like, hey guys, I'm here. Like y'all recognize the bomb.
Cherry on top.
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't see the whole cake and how delicious it was, that shot was the cherry on top. That was my moment for sure.
I like it for sure. Mine would probably be Ronaldo beating Johnny Archer in the 30th anniversary. I think that's probably what sticks out to me because it says that we do have a local player that has yet to reach the national stage that can beat the national players. And it's a guy that plays in a lot of the pool series events. So we firsthand get to watch him get better and better. And there will be a time, and it could be in 2025, where maybe Ronaldo takes that next jump to where all of a sudden he's the BJ Usser. He's the Mike Davis. Because right now we look at BJ and Mike, and then we look at Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point, maybe it's this year coming up, but maybe all of a sudden it's like BJ, Mike, Ronaldo. It's not BJ, Mike, and Ronaldo. It's we got Mike Davis, we got BJ Usser, we got Ronaldo Bot. Maybe he makes it a 3-way dance at the top.
And that was my favorite match of the whole pool series ever to call.
Yeah,
by far, my favorite one.
We had a lot of good matches this year. A lot of good ones. Obviously, everyone that was on the stream, you can go back and rewatch on our YouTube channel. There's been a lot of exciting matches, a lot of exciting shots, a lot of controversial shots, as we have seen also. I think it's been a fun year. And Brandon, since you said what's our favorite one of this year, let's go ahead and say, maybe, do we have a prediction for next year? Do you have like a bold prediction? All right.
I will be in the money. Enough of this.
That's pretty bold.
I'm too good of a player to not be in the money.
That's pretty bold, man.
Yeah, it's okay. You can
that's-
highlight it as bold as you want.
Yeah, that's
I'm getting in the money.
if you go watch our NFL preview show, that's about as bold as me predicting the Niners to win the Super Bowl.
That was a great one. And the Texans to be there.
And that one's closer than the Niners.
This is true.
saying.
Yes.
What was it?
There's bold and there's
Well,
delusional.
don't feel bad. My Cincinnati Bengal predictions toasted too. So
Yeah, we watch pool more than we watch.
Yes,
football,
we do.
so there's that. Pat, I mean, what do you got? Do you got a prediction for next year, man?
My prediction for next year is I think that two-headed monster joins the pool series, more events, Guama and Josh Roberts. And I think we see a fatal four-way,
I definitely
maybe even a five-way.
I mean, I would love if both of them played him more. I think Guama will probably play him more. I don't know about Josh. Josh is a busy guy who plays in a lot of places, but Guama definitely could play him more. He's starting to get out more in this area, so that's good. I just think next year, I think we'll see maybe more of these middle ground players jump up there and maybe pull off an upset. Like I think maybe we'll have some more first time winners that have played in our events like a few times. Like, we're not just gonna have like a Josh Roberts show up for and win. Like I'm talking like maybe maybe somebody like Jeff Abernathy finally wins one. Maybe somebody like Liam Wynn finally wins one. Maybe I mean, there's got to be some other people in that range I just can't think of off the top of my head right now that might finally win one. Maybe David Anderson. Maybe David Anderson finally wins one. Jason Blackwell could finally win one. I'm thinking somebody like that finally wins one. But also, I think actually my bold prediction of the year is Mr. 9th through 12th himself finally maybe gets a little better and becomes Mr. 7th and 8th.
Jacob,
Yeah.
we love you.
Yes, absolutely. Jacob Blake. Hopefully he does watch and listen because this show will be up on YouTube later. Hopefully he does watch. I know he's a big fan. He played in most of our events this year. It is crazy that he said he had 6 9 through 12 finishes. And obviously you can kind of see what we're doing on YouTube now. Pat and I working together here to make these awesome little player cards. We had one up already with Mike Davis. We'll have another one up shortly with another player that finished pretty high up, and we'll have some more before the next event, to give y'all something to look at. And it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Pat, definitely appreciate you this year, man. It's been a lot of fun, dude. Can't wait to do it all over again next year. But we gotta get you in the money as well next year. It's gonna happen for sure.
All in due time.
That's right. That's right. He's waiting. He's like, I'm gonna finish like second place, not just 7th, 8th. That's what he's saying. Brandon, we appreciate your help as well, buddy. It's been a great year.
Love doing it.
Yes. Pat, is there anything else you want to say before we clock out?
Yeah, man, to everybody that watched all the live streams, all the players that came out, thank y'all, man. We do all of this stuff for y'all, trying to grow the local pool scene, highlight the local players, let people know that Charlotte has great pool talent and we love the game here. So shout out to everybody that's supporting that cause and that mission, man.
Yes. And next year we'll be showing that North Carolina as a whole is a good pool area. So it's growing, getting bigger. Pool series it keeps growing. It's like a little bonsai tree. We're just getting bigger and bigger as the years pass on. Brandon, is there anything that you want to say before we close out the year?
Love your friends, love your family. You never know when the last time you'll see them is. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, that's definitely definitely. Let's rest in peace.
Amen.
Yeah. Guys, it's been a lot of fun. 2024, the pool series, very first one with our points tour. We can only get better. We can only get bigger. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see what happens in 2025. I appreciate each and every one of you, whether it's you two guys, anybody else that's helped us behind the scenes, all the pool halls that have allowed us to play, all the ones that have invited us back, all the players. We had over 150 different players in all of our events, which is amazing. It's been a fun year. It's been an awesome year. I think we're ready to close it out. I think we're done. I think this is it. TPS reports. Look us up on YouTube. Look up the pool series on Facebook, on YouTube. We're done. And as Pat is saying, we will check you later.
See you soon.
it.